Hey, hi, hello, welcome to my channel, Write with Cass. I'm Cass, and today we're going to be starting my Act 3 of my third novel, so I am getting to the end of my third book, and I'm so excited. I just hit 100,000 words in the last video, so if you want to see that, go check it out. But right now, we're just gonna try to plow through to the end of the book, or at least start making our way there. So I hope you enjoy the video. Hello, so it is June 5th. And I have a little bit of an update for you guys. I hit 100,000 a couple days ago, and I currently have 101,460 words, which is great. That brings my page count up to 288. Now I went back and I smoothed out the transition in between Act 1 and Act 2, so that was fun for me to kind of go back and fix that. But now I have my section of my outline for the very end of the book, and it's, as you can see, not as many pages. So I'm really looking forward to starting Act 3 today and kind of finishing out Act 2 and kind of smoothing that transition. But I think I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into Act 3. So for now I'm gonna look over my outline real quick because it's been a while since I've looked through the end of the story, because I've been focusing on the middle of the book, which has been great. And these are reflecting, and I'm so sorry. I'll take them off for a minute. I plan on, just going through my third outline and making any notes, because I decided to remove one of the subplots and move it to the second book. To me, that feels like the right call. It was a bit of an annoying thing because I had already started the beginning of, the book and kind of realizing, that was something I wanted to add in, but now I have taken it out. So that'll be something that I deal with in the next draft, because I'm just leaving it in the parts for now where it's at, with notes of this is going to be shifted to book 2. I have my reasons for it. There was just too many bits in this first book, and I kind of wanted to focus on character development. That subplot took up too much space for that. That's kind of my main reason, and that subplot I feel like will add a really exciting element to book 2. That being said, I am looking forward to still keeping that subplot and adding it later, but that means I have to go through my outline and kind of adjust it a little bit and make some notes, and I feel like that'll really tighten the story up a little bit better. And I know that making big changes in the middle of a draft is a choice. I feel like it's more common and people do it more often. They just don't maybe mention it as much, but I've done this with this book. I have made some big changes during it. When I added it in, it was a big change, but as I've written it and I tried out the subplot, I realized it's too much. This isn't fitting here. It takes us out of the main story too much, I think, just as from my vantage point. So I feel like a reader would be very confused because it takes us all over the place. And I think with any kind of book where there's a lot of traveling, you have to have things, for me, this is how it works. I have to have things mapped out kind of meticulously of this is where they're going, and then here and then there, because there's distance and time and in between, and what are you gonna fill that time with? So that's where I'm at. So I'm gonna go through these pages here and just cross out and highlight and make some notes before I jump into writing Act 3, and then that will be kind of setting up for tomorrow's writing session. And I'm, depending on how long this takes, because I'm not sure, will depend if I get a second writing session in or not, because I've already worked on book some today, and I know that subplot made Act 3 a little bit longer, so hopefully removing some of that chunk will keep this book to a lower word count. Also was a consideration for editing this book in the next draft. I know you have to cut out. I had a feeling halfway through keeping that in there that I knew I was gonna have to take it out. It just wasn't working, and I'm gonna trust my gut on this one, and I'm feeling really good about that. So yeah, we'll just go through this outline and see what I need to remove, add, all those things. This part of my outline is only 12 pages, so I want to say it's not going to take as long as I think it might, but I did, shrink the margins and the font, so there is a lot of words in these 12 pages. However, I'm hoping it'll go kind of fast. So I will check in with you guys after I read through this and kind of see what I'm working with here. And then hopefully we can start the last section of this book, which I am so excited about, because that means the end is in sight, the end is near, and I can see it. So I'm looking forward to being done with this first draft. It has been a long time coming. Act 3 outline and I've made the changes that I needed to make, and I also named something that I forgot needed a name, and it was very important that I named it because it's going to be one of the big settings of the end, and I forgot I hadn't named it yet. But it's now crossed off the list. You know, that went pretty smooth and pretty quick. So I am going to probably map out a few things before I start working, and I'm probably gonna make myself lunch before I start working because I've gotten really hungry, and I'm gonna give my hand a break because it is cramping a lot. By taking out that big subplot, I was able to pull a couple more threads through the end of this book that kind of were in the beginning. So that was really fun for me to be able to kind of make a bunch of callbacks to the start of the series and to the start of these characters' arcs and show you how far they've come. So that was really fun for me, and that just made me like more excited because I've kind of been dreading writing this third act, and I feel like that's just the way that this project has gone, where it's like kind of don't want to write this because something feels off, and then I figure it out, and now I'm like so happy to write this, and I'm so just ready to write this. In this book, I really had to continually go back to the drawing board and really just world build as I go, which has been has been a unique experience, because the last book I had everything planned out because I've had that story in my brain for so long, but this one I knew I was gonna figure things out as I went, and it has been so fun to just do that in the moment in a way, but also it's been kind of like I don't have everything figured out, so I don't want to write it, when I know that's just not the case. I just need to keep going no matter what. Even if I don't know what's going on, I will figure it out on the page, or I can take a few minutes and step back and work on my outline and just try to figure out what, when, where, why, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that was so helpful. I even pulled up my map because I thought I had like named the thing that I need to name. No. Then I realized having it all on one sheet of paper was so overwhelming because I had all the geological stuff, all the country names, all the tiny city names on there, and I did not have enough space. So when I was looking at it and trying to read it, I was like, I don't think I named this because I can't see through all the ink and the pencil marks, but maybe that is a different day when I am feeling kind of stuck. I will do my, this is the country, these are the cities, these are the geological things, the mountains, the rivers, the harbors, all that kind of stuff. So that might be something for a later day. But yeah, I feel pretty good about starting Act 3 now. I would say there's one more scene that I really need to decide which angle I'm going to take it before I start writing it, and then that should be the opening to Act 3, and then once I get that done, it should, hopefully it'll be smooth sailing, but we'll see. This will be the first time I have sat down and tried to chronologically write the end of Act 3. I have scenes already written for Act 3 that are already in this draft, but I'm gonna try to go from start to finish through that and see what I can come up with, and I will probably still jump around. So for now, I'm gonna go grab some lunch and do some chores and try to get some of the boring stuff that I need to get out of the way, and just let these new ideas kind of percolate in the back of my brain while I figure out what I'm gonna write next. If I don't check in with you guys today, I will definitely be checking in with you guys next week. It's Monday, June 9th, and I haven't talked to you guys in, I would assume, a couple days. So I do have an update. My word count is currently 102,086 words, which is great. I made a lot of notes on the document to kind of outline where my next chapters are going to go, and I read through all the scenes I had already written for Act 3 on my document and just kind of went through, arranged those accordingly, and made notes on where I need to fill in the gaps and kind of space things out a little bit. I also figured out how I'm gonna start it, what perspectives I'm starting, and just kind of really getting into that. I was having a brainstorming session and I landed on how I want to start Act 3, which is so exciting because I wasn't quite sure which perspective I wanted to start it in or area kind of scene. I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to start Act 3, but I was able to figure it out and I'm so excited to kind of jump into it. I think it's going to be a fun chapter to write. I'm looking forward to it. That being said, I have to name potentially 4 people. And in other big news, this book has been untitled this entire time. I have, obviously KJA is those are, each letter represents the first letter of the main characters where the POV is going to be. So most of my projects, that's how I title on my title, it project 3 letters. And so the 3 letters, KJ and A, are the first initial of my main characters. That being said, during this brainstorming session, I was was kind of working on this conversation between kind of the main group of characters, and in one of the lines, it was so cool. I really liked one of the lines so much so that a part of it right now has become the working title, which is so cool. And the more I think about it, and I've already looked it up and it's not taken, and I've just really been sitting with it, and I'm really excited. I'm not going to share it. I'm going to still keep thinking about it because titles are subject to change throughout the entire process of writing a book, and I just haven't even had one for this that I'm like, I like that enough. But I finally have one, and I just, anytime I think about it, I feel so happy, and it feels very like, yes, it feels good, and it's workable enough that I know if I was able to write, you know, the sequels for this book, I can work with that title and that kind of theme, and I can make it work. I've already tried to add a few different titles in there, and you know, I'm excited. I think this one will stick, and I'm excited about that. And it was definitely not something that I was expecting to happen or have happen anytime soon. Titling your book, that's not my forte. I'm not great at titling my projects. It usually takes me forever. So the fact that I have one that I really like, and the more I kind of sit with it, the more I really like it, and just, I don't know, I'm very excited about it. And that was kind of the biggest news I had was, hey, I think I have a title. I'm so excited, and the more I think about it, the more I really like it, and I think it's going to stick for now. We'll see when we get into that stage. We'll see when we get into the later stages of, you know, writing a book, and the publishing part of it, you know, it's always subject to change, but for now I really like it, and if it does change, I'll probably tell you guys, or I might save it and reuse it for a different project. I'm not sure, but I'm really happy with it, and I think it's really fitting. With that being the news, I'm going to write a little bit more. I think I'm gonna start with that opening scene. I know I said I was gonna go in chronological order. I've already kind of written one scene that is towards the end, but I had like a great breakdown of how I wanted it to go, so I quickly wrote the dialogue and some of the framing around it. But I think I'm gonna leave that for a different day. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of delete the notes I have on my computer, and I'm going to fill out the rest of this opening scene that I have for Act 3. I will check in with you guys in a little bit. Okay, so I think a funny part of writing is I obviously know the characters and the world and the story really well, in theory, you know? It's your book, it's your story, but sometimes every now and then you forget like your character names, and I am looking at this list of who's in the scene and I realize that I'm gonna have to go on a name hunt, so I'm hoping that they are in my overall outline. If not, I have a little book where I have all my like scene notes and story notes and character ideas and names, except I don't know where I put it, and that is why I have a digital copy and a hard copy that I can, you know, hold in person, but I also have the online copy, and I'm just really hoping that I was due diligent in the past to put my names from my hard copy to my computer on my digital copy. I don't think I've even said their names in this yet. Like, underline, insert name here, underline kind of, you know, situation going on, so I don't think I've actually like put them in because I can never remember this character's name. That's probably a sign of you should probably change the name, but I think it's just a character I purposely am kind of not exploring yet in this book, and by doing that I don't remember their name. So let's go to my official outline and hope that my character list at the start of my outline has it. But so how I used to do my outlines was I would do the entire outline, and then at the end of that outline, I would have a continual character list going on. But with this one, I separated those out. So I have my outline, and then I have my characters all listed, just their names and like a 2-word description. And then I have their descriptions in the rest of the document. I had to separate it because of this computer, but I love having it all in one place because I don't have to go search for it like this. Now I'm getting a little worried. See, I don't know where I put it, and that's a scary thought. Okay, I'm either gonna have to name 6 people, or I hope that my little journal for this is in here somewhere. Found it! Excuse the mess behind me, but I found it, and I pulled everything out from under my bed to find it because most of my storage is under there. But yeah, let's see. The good news is I found the names. Bad news is I don't like one of the names anymore. So we are changing it, and it is the one that I could never remember. So I guess it was a sign. So that means 5 names. I do like the one I have, and I've already updated my name chart, so I don't have to go through this again. And I'm in between 2 names for the swap. I think it is time to go back to babynames.com or whatever baby name website that I can find that I like. I think I usually use Pampers. They usually actually have a good selection and a wide range. So I think I'm gonna go there and look up some names. Pretty much, I didn't like any of those for the characters I am naming today, so back to the drawing board, and then I'll write. The only reason I've ceased writing to name people is they're all in the scene, and I need their names. Other than that, I will keep you guys updated. It's official, I started Act 3 today, and I got all those characters named that I needed to, and I wrote the opening scene to Act 3, so that's exciting. So, my word count, I had written some notes and deleted those notes, so that took my word count down to 101,824 words. And then after writing that first scene, I'm now at 103,187 words. So feeling good about the word count and the progression. I'm at 294 pages, so I'm really feeling good. I got all my notes written down on a different document, so I just kind of copied, pasted, and moved them so I didn't lose them. I felt like I was cruising. I wanted to take some time to figure out what scene it was going to be that opened the 3rd act, because to me it was important to kind of set the tone and trajectory of the end of this book correctly, or at least as correctly as I can get it on the first draft, and I feel like I did that. So I'm happy with where it's at. So with where I'm at now, I think coming off of Act 2, where I knew exactly where and how I wanted it to go, you know, once I figured out Act 2, everything just kind of fell into place, and I knew what scenes would take me where and how long, and you know, I had Act 2 mapped out so well. And weirdly enough with this project, Act 2 has been the easiest part for me to write. I've had it the most mapped out, and now it feels like I'm back in Act 1 in a way where not everything's clear. I don't have a yes, I have my outline, but in a way it's like I haven't spent as much time thinking about Act 3, so I have a little less to go off of in my head. So it makes me like a little nervous starting this, but I know I just gotta keep going and it'll be fine in the end, because I have draft 2, 3, 4, 5, however many I need to get this book to where it needs to be. So as long as I kind of get down in base for this, then I'm happy and I'm getting close to the end. So I do know what the first chapter is going to be after my opening scene, so I know what the next chapter is. After that, I'm a little less unsure. I kind of left my outline a little vague for Act 3 in case things changed in Act 2 or things needed to be sped up or slowed down. Like if the pacing changed in the middle while I was working on it and realized I needed to cut certain bullet points out of my outline. I did leave it a little vague, so we will see. As far as I know, I don't have to name any. I need to organize the map where this is taking place a little bit better, because I ran out of room on my 1-page map. In my world building day, you know, when I was coming up with the names, I did sit back and kind of think about the history of this place and how things unfolded. I have all my notes for that, which is why I want to have a map that's a little clear for each kind of thing that I need it for. And outside of that, I think those are my updates for you guys. I wanted to give you guys a quick update. My current word count is 105,759 words, which is great because I'm getting close to that 6,000 mark. I wanted to let you guys know that I think, if all goes accordingly, I have 3 chapters before I get into the battle/climax part of the book, and I'm very excited. So I'm following my outline terms for what I called things. So I'm getting to the very exciting parts of the book. And I have about 3 chapters available of setup to really get to that point in the book. So I'm very excited. So once I get to those 3 chapters and I get that done, are my focus for today. So that way tomorrow I have pretty much all day to work on the climax of the book. And I kind of always like to set a day aside to just write the climax. I'm gonna do all that I can to get the prep, get the setup, get everything done so that I can just enjoy tomorrow's writing day. count update for you guys. I wrote for an hour and a half, I guess, and I wrote 108,005 words, which brings my page count up to 307 pages, which is so exciting that I broke 300 pages. I didn't even realize it. So that was really exciting. I love the chapter that I just wrote. It was so fun. It's one of those chapters that I feel very like giddy about, so I'm excited for that chapter. So yeah, I think I wrote 2,246 words in that writing sprint, which is a lot given that yesterday was a no words day. That's a lot of words in one day. I don't think that's my record, but that is a lot of words in one day, so I'm excited to keep going. I do have to break and work on some other things that I need to get done for today. So I have some Fiverr stuff that I need to finish filling out and doing, and then I have some applications I need to send out for some things. So gonna be a busy on the computer day like every day, but it's just not gonna be a full writing day. And then I need to finish editing the previous video. So those are like my big things I gotta do today. Yeah, I'm so excited, and I'm very happy with the scene that I wrote, and I'm really excited for the next scene. I think it's going to be so fun to do. Before I wrote this last chapter, I was thinking I had about 3 before the big climax of the story, and I just did 1. So I only have 2 more chapters left before the big climax portion of the story, which I'm going to try maybe do 1 more chapter today, but I do need to get some other things, all that other stuff done first. So if I can get everything else done and then I can go back to writing, maybe I'll get my other 2 chapters done today. But I for sure want to write the second chapter in a little bit. I'm gonna let the flow and the idea of that chapter kind of finish forming in my head before I sit down and write it, but I did write some notes down so I remember all the little things that I need to include for sure in that chapter, and then I will fill the rest of it out. So in a first draft, there comes to a point where you just want to sit down and finish writing the thing, and I'm at that point. So I'm getting the last little bit before all the scenes that I've had in my head for so long. You know, I'm getting to that point where I'm about to hit the scenes that helped create this book and help flesh it out. So, you know, getting to that point is always really exciting, and I can't believe I'm so close. Like, I have waited to write like this portion of the book, and I know I said I've been jumping around a lot, but with the climax and the ending, I like to try to write the ending in chronological order as best that I can. And I am coming from a background where I write books chronologically no matter what. So jumping around in this project is different, but it has worked. I am keeping to my rule of write the climax and the resolution chronologically. And so the fact that I'm like almost there and almost to that point is so exciting. I'm getting so close to the end of the first draft. I gotta do it. I gotta finish writing this book, and then I'm not even gonna let myself think about all the drafting, but I'm actually so excited to like go back and read this and start drafting it. And while I was writing my notes down, I got an urge to jump back into Act 2 and add this little minute detail so that the next scene will work a little bit better. So I'll probably go and add that note somewhere up there, but go back in Act 2 and add the note and not actually write the scene, because then I'll get distracted and I'll just keep jumping around. But I want to keep going chronologically and at least get through Act 3. So I'm really excited, but I have to get other things done. That is what I'm going to be working on for the next couple hours after a little bit of an eye break, and then I'm going to jump right into getting some stuff done after I sit down and plan out what I need to get done. For now, I'm going to let you guys go. If you guys made it to the end of this video, please give me a huge thumbs up and tag along to see the rest of the progress and to share your progress. Where are you at in your writing process? Are you in draft 1, draft 2? How's it going? How's your first draft going? Or your second draft? You know, how's your writing going? For now, I will see you guys later and hopefully with more updates. Bye.